Hey guys, what's up? It's Carlisle here from the Golds Academy. We're going to get into a basic breakdown of the hinge today. It's one of our foundational movements. It's how we should naturally pick things up off the ground. We're going to talk about the do's and don'ts, just the basics. We're not going to get into all of the corrections and all the fixes that might need to happen if you have horrible positioning. So we're, again, just a basic movement today. We're going to have Brian come in. We're going to see what a basic hinge looks like. So I want you to pay attention to how his hips track back, his back stays flat, and his chest is nice and proud the whole time. So this is a good looking hinge. Now, what most people associate is just bowing. You can see how his hips don't track back. If you do this with weight or load, all of that tension is going to come out of the hips and up into the back. So that is very dangerous. So make sure we are seeing that good tracking back of the hips, okay? So once we want to start loading this movement, we can start with a simple kettlebell. Brian's going to place it in between his feet. He's going to get nice and set. He's going to have his chest nice and open, good flat back, his hips are back. Notice that the weight is underneath his armpits. It's good and centered there. That means with this good flat back, he's going to be nice and loaded into his glutes and hamstring his posterior chain. Okay, as he drives through the back half of his foot, he comes to full hip extension, nice vertical body, good open chest, everything is good tension on it there. The ground is not necessarily the target that we have to hit. Some people might not have the range of motion for it, so they could simply come to maybe mid-shin and back up. Full extension is what we want to end the movement with, though. We want to get that full glute engagement, good vertical body. Next, we can move on to dumbbells. So to pick these up off the ground, we might end up doing a small amount of a squat. But once we get the weights in place, we're nice and vertical, the hip should track back, chest comes down towards the ground. The same mechanics as the kettlebell. Again, the ground is not the goal. Full hip extension is the goal. As we lower the chest, that back should stay flat. That's the basics we want to keep in mind. Next is going to be our hex bar. So now we can start getting into heavier loads. We can start loading more and more plates onto our hex bar. This is a little more favorable than a barbell because of the path that you'll take with the hex bar compared to the barbell. With a barbell, you have to worry about going around the knees or keeping the bar in front of the knees or against the shins. You don't have to worry about that here with the hex bar. So it's much easier for people to pick up this movement and these mechanics than the barbell. Notice the hips tracking back. Weights will touch the ground. Nice open chest. Full glute engagement. It's a good lift. Now as we get more advanced, we'll go into a barbell. The mobility that's needed in the hips and hamstrings is a little greater here because the bar has to go over the knees. Okay? That's our biggest worry here. We don't want to get into that bowing that we talked about earlier. You can see how the bar stays very close to the body. It's actually touching his shins and knees. He's coming to that good vertical stance, at the top. Again, don't have to touch the ground, but once you do have plates loaded here, it will be pretty easy for most to do that. Lastly is going to be our good morning. So we're going to be loaded with the bar just like we would be with a back squat. Elbow should be pointing down. As he starts to break at the hips and the hips travel back, his chest comes down just like all of our normal hinges, but now he's loaded very far away from his pivot point in his body, so that load is going to increase exponentially as he goes down. So this is a very advanced movement. People need to be very trusting into the mobility of their hinge. Their glutes and hamstrings will be taking on a lot of tension here. This is one of our most advanced hinges, so definitely make sure people have proven to you that they can use all of the different implements up to this point. All right, that's the basic hinge progression. Remember, our hinges are going to be maximal hip, minimal knee. We're trying to get that posterior chain activated. Thanks for tuning in, and look for more videos coming.